this episode, I talk with my friend Ralph Schmidt. He's in the bands Ropes of Night and also Ultha. We talk top 10 favorite occult horror films. So this is a good one. Make sure you get your pen and paper ready to take a list of films you may have never seen before. So hopefully we go over some stuff you haven't seen before, but I think there's a few really killer deep cuts on here. So I think you'll find some new stuff to check out. So hopefully you do. Also, when you get done with this podcast, go over and check out some of my brother's podcast. We have the Necromaniacs podcast. We have Everything Went Black podcast, and also Into the Necrosphere podcast. You can find all these podcasts streaming on all the different platforms and stuff. So we got you covered. We're kind of like the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse of podcast, I guess. It's kind of our little thing we're doing here. But yeah, check those out, and hopefully you dig those, and hopefully you dig this episode. And thank you so much for listening. All right, Ralph, thanks for being on the podcast and talking occult horror with me today.
Dude, man, it's my pleasure. Good that we finally made this happen, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for wanting to do this. When I heard the challenge was laid out on the podcast there, I was like, I got to do this, and that sounds great.
Yeah, man. I mean, I enjoy your podcast a whole lot and always listen to the episodes. And when you had that one with Mike about the top 10 vampire movies, I'm like, dude, I want to fucking do this. And I always challenged Mike to do like the satanic movies. And we always had it like in mind to do it maybe as a necro episode or on the Everything Went Black. But then it's just like it never came to fruition. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm challenging Brandon now. Let's do this. And now we're here and we're finally doing this.
Yeah, it's fucking great. And yeah, between Everything Went Black and the Necromaniacs podcast, like my whole podcast needs are covered. Like, everything in between. And now with the Patreon for Everything Went Black, which is awesome. And I think everybody should fucking contribute. Yeah, I'm just like, there's so much like cool shit out there that y'all do. Like it's great.
Yeah, man, I'm still pumped that Mike asked me to be like a guest or a co-host on some of these episodes and do like the weird fiction thing on Patreon. I mean, we've been friends, like he and I have been friends for so fucking long, and he's like, I mean, we haven't seen each other in person. I don't know, man, like 7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. But like it's whenever we speak, it's like, okay, this is my brother from another mother, and yeah, this year I'm finally flying over to the States in summer, and we're going to hang out. But I mean, I've been with him in this podcast thing from the get-go, and I mean, he's been doing it for almost 10 years now. He's been way ahead of like all the other people that are jumped on the podcast train. Mm-hmm. He has such an appealing way to do this, and he's just the best. And yeah, man, I'm just fucking pumped to get to do this, talk to him, and now like getting to meet cool people like you and Carl, and like being in touch, and now being on your podcast. I'm stoked. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, Mike was a really big inspiration for me starting my podcast. It was pretty much Mike, Mick Garris, and a few other really killer podcasts out there that really got me moving. But a lot of it is Mike, like, and his stuff, like, very motivational, like, inspiring. I'm like, I can fucking do this. I can do this. Yeah. And, I've been doing this for like a year and a half, maybe now.
Yeah.
So
and it's growing from what I see. Like ever since I found out about Horror Wolf, when Mike suggested that, I'm like, okay, this thing is steadily growing. You've got great guests, and I think there's some traction. It's the same with Necromaniacs. I think like finally all this stuff is getting more attention. I mean, there's 100 million podcasts out right now. Everybody's doing it. But it's cool that like I know some people that do something special and that more people get into it, and now that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and you are correct about being like 100 million podcasts. There's so many goddamn podcasts out there. It's insane, but I like that though. Like there's options,
Yeah, and the thing is, like at first I thought like, okay, podcasts for most people are like an ego trip, It's like I really like hear my own voice and then just talk about whatever I want, and I can give my 2 cents, which is cool. But I was like, at first I was really opposed to podcasts in a way. But like I come from I mean Mike and I talked about it in like one of the last episodes. Like here in Germany, we've got a big culture of, we call it audio plays.
Hmm.
So like pretty much movies without a movies, just like different speaking actors and sounds and stuff like this. And I grew up on that, and I'm still super into that. And because I'm not a big fan of audiobooks, because mostly like one person reading a thing, you have to be really good to do that. But these audio plays, they've always been great fun. And now with ever since you actually suggested to check out the Archive 81 podcast, which is like an audio play in itself, I'm like,
Yep.
okay, so people doing new stuff with the format of podcasts. And there's so much crazy cool shit going on. And I mean, people that know me from like maybe from Everything Went Black, it's like I'm a big wrestling nerd, and there's like a ton of great wrestling podcasts, so I'm following them, horror movies, and like metal music and post punk. Whatever you want, like man, you will find a podcast for that. You just have to dig deep.
On speaking about like audio plays or audio stories, you should check out the podcast, The Lurking Transmission.
Okay.
It's really like dirty black metal fucking horror, man. It's really good. The guy that runs it, my friend Evan, he's a badass, and I think you would definitely dig that podcast.
Yeah, I have like actually started like a little journal here, which I where I always have like a double page for the research for the Everything on Black episodes, and I did one for today too. And now I already opened up like a list to check out, because I assume you will have movies in your top 10 that I don't know about and I have to check out, or recommendations. So yeah, Lurking Transmissions, wrote it down.
Excellent. Yeah, I got my phone next to me, plus my laptop, plus I have Amazon Kindle pulled up with my Internet Movie Database with my list of films and stuff where I can get a little bit of information on them. So I got all kinds of shit around me right now.
Yeah, you're an organized motherfucker, man. It's just
Trying
like
to
with
be.
I mean, I'm a teacher. I should be better with this, but I'm kind of old school, so I always like write everything down and afterwards check it out. I mean, I now, because like in my apartment, it's a really cold but really sunny, beautiful Saturday afternoon over here. So
Mhm.
I'm sitting in a chair in the one spot where the sun shines in, and there's no laptop around me, so I'm going freestyle here just with my list. So, but I should be good to go, because all these films I have, I really adore, and I know a bunch of stuff about it. So if we need to research something, it's your job.
Got it. Yeah, I got enough shit around me. I can do some serious research. So,
All right, perfect.
before we get started with our list, do you have any like recent recommendations on things we can watch?
Um, Controversial choice. I also watched Euphoria, which has been a topic on the last on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Necromaniacs episode, where
Hmm.
Mike Scandato also recommended it, and I know like the Tombs drummer suggested it to Mike too, and I just like wrote to Mike like, yeah, man, I back this. I really like this show. And he's like, no, I tried it, don't like it. Um, I didn't want to like it because I have a problem with people with addiction. Long story through my life, and I didn't want to watch a show about teenagers being addicts, because I have the same problem in school with some of my kids in school right now. But
Uh,
then it's like everybody's talking about it, and it's supposed to be really good, and has like some almost kind of David Lynchian vibe and blah. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I need to check it out. And I did, and I blasted through the 2 seasons, and it's really fucked up, dark and gritty. It's not like a teenage romance kind of thing. It tackles some contemporary topics, but it in general is just a study in deprivation of fucked up people, and that's always something that gets me. The music is excellent, the camera work is excellent. Yeah, man, I gotta say, I really dig it.
yeah, I watched one episode so far because after hearing like Mike talk about it and stuff like, all right, I'm gonna give this a watch or whatever, and I don't know where I'm at yet on it. Like I watched one episode, I thought it was decent and stuff, but maybe I need to do another one and see how I feel about it. But I'm kind of I don't know yet, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same. Like Mike also said, like I did the first one and I don't know, and I can see this, man. I can totally get it. But yeah, I think it is something. Either you like it in the first two episodes and you continue, or you see like, okay, this is not for me. But yeah, man, I really dug it.
There's something I'm watching right now that just came out on Apple TV, and it's called Severance. Just came out 2022, and it's directed by Ben Stiller, out of all people. He's been known to do some pretty killer stuff, and this is like a weird ass, dark horror sci-fi. Well, it's mostly sci-fi right now, but there's some horror shit going on in the background. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
it's to me, it's giving off some sort of Lovecraftian vibes, possibly. You know, with just the weirdness of everything. You know, it's about say you're working these guys are working at this job where like your home life and your work life are severed. Like there's an implant they put in your brain that severs like your work life from your home life, so you don't know when you're at work. When you're at work, you're just at work, and when you're at
Mhm.
home, you're just at home. So there's no like in between there. You know what I mean? It's like you're kind of like stuck at work for 24 hours because you don't remember yourself being home. That's why I guess it's called Severance. And
Yeah.
it's really good, really dark. I like it, and it's really, I don't know, it makes you think. It's real trippy and stuff too. Like it's super weird, definitely weird.
I heard such great things about it. I mean, again, one of the reoccurring subjects on Everything in Black is that here in Germany, you don't get the stuff in real time that you guys in the States have.
Hmm.
So, I mean, like the big Netflix productions or stuff, they're like they come out here the same day that they come out in the States. But like all these smaller things, like you have to have several apps, and some of them don't even work. For example, Shutter here is just an add-on to Amazon Prime, and
Okay.
Shutter right now has in Germany has like 30 movies to offer. That's all they have.
That sucks, man. I've heard the same thing with like Shudder in Canada too. They have some issues. Like supposedly the U.S. has the best version of Shudder, and that
Yeah,
sucks. I wish they were all the same, you know, that because Shudder's
yeah.
so damn good. I love Shudder. I've been with them from the beginning, so.
Mm. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm thinking about getting a VPN and stuff. Like, I don't know how this shit operates, but like maybe trick into my network thinking I'm in the States so I can access that. The others, like, I mean, still have to go back to like these illegal streaming pages or download shit, which I actually like am opposed to. But
Mhm.
I don't want to miss out on some of the great shows that like no network here will pick up, and this is just terrible. And it's the same thing. Like one show that I totally like loved is actually like a German Austrian show that I just suggested to Mike the other day. And it's the same thing. It's here. It's on Sky, which is like the bigger portal where they have all the HBO stuff.
Mhm.
But there seems to be an English like you can get it in the States with a totally different name, and there's no real network where you can find it, and I don't get it. Like, I mean, you have Netflix produced Dark, which is a German show, and everybody loved it, and I don't get why the international market is not more open. Same goes for 30 Coins, which was in my top 10 list of shows last year, which is a Spanish production. And obviously,
Mhm.
like HBO America picked it up, but HBO here, which is on Sky, didn't have it. So again, I had to go back to like illegal watching. And I feel terrible about this because I want to support the stations that actually invest money in producing these things.
Yeah, that's a shame. Like, you know, it can't be equal like that with stuff to view out there. It's just, it doesn't make much sense to me on that aspect.
Yeah.
So it sucks.
Yeah, but it's the same. I mean, you know, like your Blu-rays or DVDs have a other regional code than we have still. So I have to get a region-free Blu-ray player to watch American Blu-rays. And I don't get why they do that. I mean, the times have changed. So it used to be that, for example, like a blockbuster movie comes out in the States and it will be in Germany like 2 months after that. Now they kind of start at the same time because of the internet. So why still have these fucking regional codes? so I can not buy a DVD from the States because the German market wants to have my money. Well, then just release it at the same fucking day. Where's the fucking problem?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So damn stupid, man. So stupid.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff to watch already. But like Severance is one of the things where I already started downloading it on the one page where I always get my stuff because yeah, I actually heard about it because someone suggested that the soundtrack is great, and I love soundtracks. I'm a big fan of that, and I actually like found the soundtrack. It's on Spotify, and it's great.
Hmm.
So when the soundtrack's already great and the first images I see are cool, supposedly the show will blow me away. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting into that.
Yeah, that's a good call on that. If it has a good soundtrack and it looks good, most of the time it's going to be pretty killer. I agree with
Yes,
that.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you down to get to some top 10 occult horror?
Dude, like the sun is shining in my face. It's nothing better to talk about satanic movies.
My list, there is a lot of satanic, but I went kind of wide on my occult spectrum. So there's some other shit that is dark too. So, but not necessarily satanic, but it still fits into the occult realm. So there's a few of those. It's a mix and match.
Yeah, I was actually like overworked like my list earlier today because I'm like, shit, did we talk about like doing just satanic ones or demonic or occult? Because if we had said demonic, I would have to include Hellraiser and stuff like this. But if you open it up, then I can get my one number that I cut out back in with my
Oh yeah.
old. Yeah.
Definitely open it up because yeah, when I occult stuff to me like is more on a broader aspect of things. So yeah, definitely Hellraiser's totally on that list. So
Okay. So yeah, I don't have Hellraiser on my list, but like I already give it a prop because it's like the first two are just fucking excellent. But we'll get to it when you have it. So my list is 9 satanic movies and 1 demonic movie. So yeah.
okay, mine's a good mix of all kinds of weirdness. So
All right. Good, good, good.
all
Yeah.
right, well, if you want, I start it off on my number 10, and then we can go from there.
All right. Good.
All right, my number 10 is Beyond the Black Rainbow. It came out
Ah,
in 2010, directed by the great Panos Cosmatos.
yes. Excellent choice.
Yeah, like you just said before, when it comes to soundtrack and how things look visually, this is what hooked me. Like I watched a trailer for this when it first came out. I love the music. I love the dark synth. I really love dark synth scores, and the visuals are so fucking like dreamy and very and nightmarish, you know, and they
Yeah.
really capture that '80s feel, you know.
Oh yeah. The that movie is excellent. The soundtrack is perfect. I actually like in school I teach philosophy and English and music and also drama, and I actually instructed a dance play with like 40 kids doing choreographies and shit, and it was only to the music of Beyond the Black Rainbow, and it was totally weird and with a lot of fog, and the audience was kind of creeped out, but the kids loved it, and I love to do like a complete play on the music of Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Oh, that's super killer. Like you're able to do that and stuff and be inspired by Beyond the Black Rainbow. It's really badass.
Yeah. Did you see the show Loki?
I tried. I gave like one or two episodes a watch on when it came out and stuff, but it wasn't really hooking me, you know.
Okay. I was a big fan of Loki, but what got me the most is that I had the feeling that the whole cinematography, like the way it looks, the brownish red colors and the wallpapers they have and all these things reminded me a whole lot of Beyond the Black Rainbow. And I always wanted to get into if like the people behind Loki were into that movie because it kind of had the same weird feeling to it. Like the spacey science fiction, creepy atmosphere.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Well, I might have to give that a second look then if you're saying Loki has some visual comparisons to Beyond the Black Rainbow. So
Yeah, man, it's just like, there's so much Marvel shit coming out and like not all of it is great. Um But like WandaVision and Loki last year, they're just like so far out, like so different to all the generic superhero stuff. They're like actually art things, and I think Loki's just excellent, man. And I really can see you digging it if you like into like weird cosmic shit, time travel and different parallel universes. It's still a Marvel product, but it doesn't look like Marvel, you know?
Hmm. Well, that intrigues me there. So I would actually put that on my list. So you got me on a list right now for Loki.
All right.
But yeah, that's my number 10. And like I said, I give this a score of 10 out of 10 when I reviewed it and stuff. And
Yeah.
this is what got me, further on when Mandy came out, got me really anticipating Mandy was, this film by Panos. And yeah, absolutely perfect in my book. It hits all my visual cues, my audio cues, like the dark synth score, like the trippy visuals, and it's a really dark, cerebral movie. You got to kind of, it's not nothing's really handed to you in this one. You got to kind of think for yourself because it's all over the fucking place in a good way.
Yeah. I'll back that score totally, 100%.
All right, so what is your number 10?
All right. So number 10 is a little movie from 2009 called The House of the Devil.
Oh, nice.
You know that one?
Oh yeah, great film.
Yeah. It's one of those tribute movies by actual fans of the genre, referencing like 70s and 80s occult horror. It has like it's a mixture of like haunted house, slasher, occult horror movie, nice little story, cool acting, cool setting, cool reveal in the end. It's just like one of those overlooked gems that came out between 2000 and 2010 that not a lot of people know about. But like as I said, my list is focused primarily on satanic horror. And if you're into that, like the classics, and we'll talk about some of the classics, The House of the Devil should be yeah, you should like I mean the name says everything, you know what to expect. It's a house, it's about the devil, and you will get your fair share of ritual and occult stuff. So yeah, House of the Devil.
Yeah, that one almost made my list, but it was really hard to narrow it down to 10, so a
Holy
lot of
shit,
this,
man, yes.
none of these hold like a super like steady place in their numbering, except for number one is number one for a reason,
Yeah.
but everything else is kind of like they can be put to two or three or kind of shuffled around a little bit. But yeah, House of the Devil almost made my list. And there was a really cool episode of The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob and Darcy, and they did House of the Devil, and that was really
Okay.
killer, getting it broke down by actual Joe Bob doing his thing on there. So that was cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's like as you said, like making this list. I mean, it was easier since I only like got into satanic stuff, but like if we just had said like complete occult, or like if I had assumed it that way, it would have been way harder because there would have been so much more stuff in there.
Right. Yeah, I had to narrow it down was a bit of a chore, but it was a fun chore to do some,
Yeah.
checking out films that you classify as a cold horror and like, oh yeah, I remember this one, and kind of revisiting these ones here to add to the list. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Right. So you're number 9.
All right, my number 9 is satanic horror, and I consider satanic horror, even though Internet Movie Database says it's a thriller, but it is a thriller on top of all that. But it's The Ninth Gate from 1999,
Yes.
the Roman
Haha.
Polanski film with Johnny Depp when he was in his prime.
Yeah.
I love this film. I was a fan of it ever since it first came out when I was a teenager. Like it's so dark and just brooding the whole time, and like I don't know, like it's weird too and real trippy. Like there's some like visual things that go on in this film that you might not catch it the first time around, but like the second or third viewing, you see these things you didn't see before, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like I don't know, like a stairway down to hell. Like it gets so dark towards the end, because trying to find this original book, to summon the fucking power of, hell and Satan and everything like that. And
Yeah.
I love it. It's just great.
The Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows is the book, and yeah, this movie, man, it's been blasted by so many people, and I don't get it. Don't get why. Um, yeah, it's in my list too. It's a bit further up though. Uh, but I mean, I fucking love it. It's uh, I everything about the like occult satanic stuff mostly revolves around like some obscure things happening or some obscure literature and people doing secretive things and cults and covens, and I'm always down with that. And that movie has it all. Like he's like Johnny Depp, like on the hunt for this book, and there's just the 3 copies of them. And it's said that the book was written by a writer with the help of the devil himself. There's these riddles, creepy people, strange people doing strange things. It's by fucking Roman Polanski, the man whose wife got killed by the Manson cult. So,
Right.
yeah, so he's the man to do this kind of stuff. No, it's a masterpiece. I really love this movie.
It also has a killer score as well. Like the score reminds me a lot of like, which makes kind of no sense because they're in different genres, but kind of like it has a 13 Monkeys type score to it, like really weird, kind of whimsical, like
Yep.
dark score. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was so happy, like because it, like again, the German market. I don't know if they think we're all buffoons, but like in general here, you get like when I still bought DVDs before Blu-rays came out, it was just in general like this shitty slim case thing. It's just like the regular cover. There was just the movie. If you were lucky, it had like 2 languages on it, mostly like the dubbed German version, which no one needs. No
Mhm.
bonus features, nothing. But why the hell ever they did one for the Ninth Gate, and it's kind of like these media books now. So it's like this bigger book kind of thing, and it has like a booklet inside with all the graphics from the book and liner notes from Polanski and the producers. Um, and like they said where they referenced the stuff from, so I had the chance to buy like the lexicon of symbolism and stuff like this. So I bought all this kind of stuff as secondary literature to this movie, and worked my way through it, watched the movie again, and it holds up and it makes it even more intense.
Yeah, that's really killer. I love when they throw in some extra stuff like that and kind of
Yeah,
adds to the viewing experience.
yeah,
Also, on a side note, dealing with this movie, me and my wife used to go around like flea markets and Goodwills, like used bookstores, and try to find first editions of certain books. And they
yeah,
kind of give me that same feeling like I'm Johnny Depp looking for that, that
yeah.
book. You know what I mean? Like it's cool because books they hold a lot of like kind of magic to them. There's something about just fucking hardcover books, like especially first editions. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of power in those.
Yeah. The shame is I like to do this too. The shame is we both will never look as handsome, as sexy as Johnny Depp, like going through those bookshelves. Yeah.
Yeah, we can all dream, but yeah, Johnny Depp, yeah, he's Johnny Depp, so.
Yeah. That's the reason in itself, right?
All right, so what is your number 9, I
All
believe?
right. Number 9. Bit of a backstory here. We had a TV station. It's still running, like one of the first private TV stations. And when I was younger, they started having a Friday night horror night with a German Elvira. So
Oh,
they had like a German chick dress up as Elvira and like giving intros in the same kind of way that like later found out that the original Elvira did it. And from that thing, I was 11 when that started. I I wanted to watch these movies, and my mom was cool enough to say like, okay, let's sit down. I enjoy this stuff too. We'll watch it together and talk about it. So you're not getting like creepy like thoughts afterwards. And that was really cool of her. And that's where I saw Phantasm the first time, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And one of the movies I recorded on VHS and watched over and over again. It doesn't hold up like to a lot of people's standards. It's like a more trashy kind of late 80s thing, but 1989's Warlock,
oh, I
Satan's
love
Son.
Warlock. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Um, Julian Sands is one creepy motherfucker, like in all his roles. I mean, even in Arachnophobia, where the spiders are the creepy shit, he's still more creepier.
Hmm.
Um, it's just such a cool story, and these all the tropes of like a witch horror, satanic horror. It has everything there. It has like a with Richard E. Grant, a big star who looks like a fake Christopher Lambert in there.
He does.
Yeah. But like the whole thing of like them traveling to the modern age, and then these rituals, the carving out of the eyes, and like when he hits the nails in the sand, and like them getting like their back and forth in this fight between the witch hunter and the warlock. It holds up. I love this movie.
Oh, I've spent many times watching that on a VHS as a kid. Like it gave me a lot of fucking nightmares. Like you said, he's very creepy,
Yeah.
and the movie's creepy. Like it doesn't get enough love either. I mean, there's a decent fan base for it, but not really. Like I kind of almost put him in the same categories like Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, the top
Yeah,
slasher guys. Like I put him in that kind of category because I think he deserves to be in that category.
absolutely. And you know what the quality certificate for me is everybody can do a movie in the dark. You know, you have an abandoned house and it's dark and you have to go through it and you know something creepy will happen. But this movie most of the time plays in broad daylight. Like the scene in the shack of the Amish family, it's just like it's not always in the dark and it's still creepy. And when he tries to fly away and like gets struck by the weather pole, and this is all happening in broad daylight and it's still creepy. And I think that's really cool because not a lot of people can pull that off.
Yeah, that's correct. Like most horror films are usually filmed, during night or whatever, but when it's broad daylight like that, makes it even more scarier.
Yes.
Yeah, great choice. I love Warlock. I still have the VHS somewhere, that one, like one of the original VHSs, so I don't
Ah,
know if it still
cool.
plays, but I do have it.
Yeah, I just got like again one of these media books. They just re-released it and it has like hours and hours of bonus material. And it really made me think about rewatching the second and the third part. And I have no recollection of them whatsoever. I know Julian Sands is in the second as well, but it's not really connected to the first one. But I
Mhm.
just remember that both of them sucked. So I don't know. Maybe on a rainy Sunday afternoon at some point.
Yeah, they definitely don't hold up to the first one, but I remember them being pretty fun. But this was many years ago since I revisited all of them, so I don't know how they hold up now. But
Oh, oh.
all
All
right.
right.
So my number 8 is a classic. It's a Wes Craven classic, if that gives anything away.
Hmm.
It's the 1988 film The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Ah, great.
Yeah, this one here was another one I watched as a kid, and it kind of traumatized me, but it traumatized me in a good way. It helped fuel my horror passion and stuff. And yeah, and this one still holds up super well nowadays. Like it's still fucking creepy as hell. I mean, you got fucking black magic and zombies. I mean, that's a pretty good combo, and I'm not
Yeah.
talking about Walking Dead zombies. Totally different thing. This is deep black magic stuff. And it's great. It's got a great cast, Bill Pullman and stuff,
Yeah.
Kathy Tyson. It's a good, great film. It's one of Wes Craven's best, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's also totally underrated still. It's like one of these movies that like nerds like us know about. And then when you talk to people, yeah, I'm into horror. It's like, do you know that movie? No. It's like, oh wow. Okay. No, it's excellent. It still holds up and yeah, it's like on my spin at least once a year, I think.
Yeah, I haven't watched this one. It's been a few years, at least 5 or 6. But this was like one of the films we were watching. Say after we got done with the band practice, we used to watch horror movies and eat pizza. That was like one of the things we used to do. And this was one
Cool.
of the films we would watch a good bit of was The Serpent and the Rainbow. It just, I
Yeah.
don't know, man. It goes and it makes for some really dark riffs.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah.
And I scored this one at another 10 out of 10 because I think it's a perfect film. And
Yeah.
super occult, super dark, and Serpent and Rainbow. And It's not really streaming anywhere for free, but I know Prime Video has it up there, to rent.
Yeah.
So if anybody hasn't seen that one, I tried. I was going to do it with the first couple films, but I try to give like a streaming place where you can check these films out too as I go. So
Yeah, that's
but yeah, that's my number 8.
absolute jam, this movie. All right, number 8 on my part. Let's go old school, and you could say like for my satanic subject, maybe the OG. It's 1968's Rosemary's Baby.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, there's like when I thought about satanic horror movies, there's two movies that have to be in there because of I think they were sparked from the satanic panic in the States back in the 70s and in the 60s. And Rosemary's Baby was the door opener to so much stuff. And Mia Farrow's performance still unbelievably good. It has like topics in there which there's this her husband, yeah, it's like she's been like impregnated by the devil, and then it's like her husband comes home and she's sleeping and she's raping him. Yeah, he's raping her and says like, yeah, I didn't want to miss out on the baby night and you were asleep, so I just did it. And it's just like, wow. This wouldn't fly in the woke culture today now.
Right.
Excuse me. But yeah, in itself, this movie opened so many gates to so much what happened later in horror. Again, Roman Polanski. I have like, as I mentioned, I'm into like this thing that you see like, okay, there's people acting weird, and you find out they have something to do with a cult or something, and you are like someone they want something from you, and you don't know who to trust, and paranoia sets in. And my take is like, when I thought about it like for this list, I'm like, holy shit, this is the Godfather to Archive 81.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Because it's happening in the Brentford, which is like this Renaissance apartment building. In Archive 81, you have the Visser. They worship the devil. The other one worship a demon, a cosmic demon. There's this weird cult led by people that are at first place seem like nice people and nice neighbors. It's the same here, and the building has some secrets, and there's people jumping out of the window and getting killed and traumatizing the main character. So yeah, it's not only Archive 81, but I mean, since this is one of the best things I've seen in ages, this just like stuck out to me. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just like The Devil's Advocate, also a great movie, the 90s movie with Pacino and Keanu Reeves. Also, look at how Charlize Theron looks in this movie. She looks like Mia Farrow in a way. And
Right.
it's the same thing, like the husband, well, the lawyer, Keanu Reeves, he starts like getting in a pact with the devil without knowing it, but all of a sudden his jobs get better, his payment gets better. In Rosemary's Babies, it's the actor, like the husband. He gets better roles, and he can make more money to be like be able to afford having a baby. And like there's so many references, and I think a lot of people saw this movie, and when they wrote their script, it's like, yeah, this is my influence. So yeah, this is for me, I mean, this is an 11 out of 10 movie because just of the significance of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also, off a side note, there you said Devil's Advocate. Al Pacino makes one hell of a devil.
Yeah. I mean, you have Pacino portraying the devil, and you have Angel Heart with De Niro portraying the devil.
Yeah.
And both of them are excellent. I mean, the monologue of Al Pacino, like on my first real hardcore band, Repugnant, which was like kind of like this integrity style Cleveland hardcore. It
hmm
started with this touch but don't taste, taste but don't swallow, swallow but don't enjoy. And I just like to this day, this is one of the coolest monologues the devil ever had. And Pacino makes, yeah, like you said, one hell of a devil.
Yeah, that would be my interpretation of the devil. Would
Yeah,
be De
yeah,
Niro or Pacino. They both nailed it.
yeah, absolutely.
All
Oh,
right, let's see here. What are we down to now? Number 7 for me. All
yes.
right. Number 7. Now, this is a hell of a movie, literally. Came out in 2015. The Turkish horror film Baskin.
Oh, never heard of that.
Oh God, this is gonna be great for you then. If your first viewing is gonna, yeah. Baskin, it starts off pretty damn slow. I'll give it that. Like, oh man, I heard this was supposed to be scary because people were going crazy about this film when it first came out. It was like the scariest movie ever made in years. And, I started watching. It's like, all right, it's what is this, a cop drama? But it's a steady decline into the gateway of fucking hell, man. Like actually the stairway down to hell. It just gradually just goes in this really, really super dark place that I haven't seen in a lot of films besides like maybe like Hellraiser, stuff like that. But it goes super dark.
Oh,
It literally it takes you to hell.
oh, okay.
Yeah, like you just got to get through the first 15 minutes of like this weird kind of like cop type thing going on here, like lost people trying to find this place or whatever, your typical scenario. But after that they reach this crazy ass town and stuff in this house that yeah, they should never entered. Like it's so good. Like yeah, like the synopsis of it on IMDb is a squad of unsuspecting cops go through a trap door to hell as they stumble upon a black mass in an abandoned building. That's the film. But it's done so well. Like the actors who are playing like the demonic, like occult members and stuff like that. It's like almost primal. Like
Oh,
they're just
wow.
fucking yeah, so good, dude. Like I can't recommend this one enough. And this was directed by Can Evernall. I may pronounce that name wrong, but he also did another killer film. Well, I thought it was killer. It's called Housewife, and that was streaming up on Amazon for a while. It was another weird, this fucked up film, just like this one is, And yeah, that's the only two films I've seen by him, but both of them are great. This one is fucking perfect horror, in my opinion. It's one of my favorite films.
Dude, that sounds absolutely excellent, and I'm ashamed that I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it played in theaters or nothing like that when it did come out. I think it was strictly to VOD, if I'm not mistaken. But
Mm,
it's so fucking good. I heard about it through I think Rue Morgue is how I first heard about this movie, and yeah, man, it's one of the darkest films I've ever seen.
oh
You
man.
know, just
Okay.
an atmosphere and stuff like that. Not necessarily the violence and all. It is very violent towards the end, but just the atmosphere itself is super dark and like you're trapped in a nightmare you can't get out of type shit.
Okay. I thought for a
Um,
second there, I thought like because I remember on Necromaniacs they were talking about like a possession satanic horror movie, but it wasn't Turkish. And I remember watching it, and it was really disgustingly violent. And it was about a possessed woman and an exorcism, but I didn't really like that one because I hate gore. I'm not really into like extreme gore.
mhm.
Um, I know, but that's not definitely not Baskin. Yeah, so like I'll check out Baskin as soon as I can.
Yeah, this one right now is streaming on AMC Plus on Prime Video. So if you got that
Okay.
app, it's streaming on there right now for free. And it was up on Shutter a while ago. It might be off now. So, but this is a long time ago when I saw it on Shutter. Shit, it made its way on to I think Netflix at one time too. So Netflix might still have it on there, but as of right now, officially it's on AMC Plus.
All right. Good. I'll find it. I'll track it down.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your thoughts about it. Like it's a hell of a movie.
All right. My number 7. It's 2014's As Above, So Below.
Oh, good one.
Yeah. Um, I am in fact a fan of found footage, but I have to admit there's not a lot of good found footage horror.
Correct.
Uh, I am unapologetically a fan of Blair Witch Project. When it came out, it was an excellent thing. Like because I saw it way early in the cinema, and the internet wasn't as flourishing as it is nowadays. So I also went to the cinema because someone said like, yeah, it's this is like actual stuff that happened, and I always pissed my pants. Um, and I dig like all the whole canon of things with Blair Witch.
Hmm.
And then I watched like after that there was this whole wave of found footage, and there's some good, some rather not so good. And then all of a sudden, like I lived in, where did I live in 2014? Was that already in Cologne? Yeah, it was already in Cologne. There were posters, like I think the poster is what attracted me to this movie, because I don't know if people don't know that movie, it had like the Eiffel Tower black on red, and then the mirror image like below the ground with a lot of skulls. And because France has like underneath Paris, there's these catacombs where there's like tons and tons of skulls and bones. So immediately I was like attracted to it, and the movie was called Catacombs, and I'm like, okay, wow. Then I didn't went to the cinema. I didn't go to the cinema to see it. And later on, I was like, I need to find this movie. And then I found out that it's actually called As Above, So Below in the original title, which is so much better than shitty Catacombs.
Yeah.
And this is, yeah, I mean, how do you describe it? It's like there's people like there's a kind of like a wannabe Tomb Raider lady. She wants to find the Philosopher's Stone because her father always was looking for that. And they get the hint that it's you can find like there's a gateway into like it's somewhere hidden underneath Paris in the catacombs. So she finds like some people that go with her, and the further they go down, shit starts to get weird. And yeah, I mean, if you know the term "as above, so below," it's from the Bible, referencing like good and evil as a mirror image. And this turns into a nightmare. And yeah, it's like literally entering hell at some point. It's really creepy. It's well done for the low budget it had. I always find myself going back to this and giving it as a recommendation to others. Yeah, I even like I have a horror movie tattoo leg, so my right leg is covered in tattoos of horror movies.
Oh, killer.
Yeah, but like after I saw this movie, I got two tattoos on my shoulders, like on top next to my neck. On the right side it's an angel having like a cross in their arm. On the other side, it's the Reaper with a sickle, with a scythe, and it says "as above, so below." On the one side, "as above," on the other, "so below." Because this mirroring image thing is something that I always found myself fascinated with. Also, like Two-Face and Batman and shit like this. So like these two sides to a coin. It's really kind of philosophical. If you read the Bible or into like all the creepy shit that is like in the last chapters of the Bible, this movie will be absolutely for you.
Killer. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said there. This is a great film, and I think it gets looked over because it's like a found footage film, but there's some good found footage films out there, and this is definitely one of them.
Yes, absolutely. It's really like I think some people say Ultha is a black metal band for non black metal fans. I think this is a found footage film for non found footage fans.
I can see that. Yeah, I dig that. All right, so now we're down to my number 6, and this is a classic and one of my favorite John Carpenter films. It's the 1994 film In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah, man. This like again, as I said, if I had it done it differently, like with all the occult, this would have been like in my top 3, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the most like Lovecraftian horror film out of all the Lovecraftian horror films. It's not really, it's not nothing really to do with Lovecraft, but it is in a way because, Sutter Kane is kind of like a mix between Lovecraft and Stephen King and all the fucking slimy, tentacled, like undescribable creatures and all. I mean, that's all Lovecraft. This is such a great movie. Special effect wise, like some of the best special effects, practical effects I've ever seen in film, and it still holds up till this day. Like they still look killer.
everything in there. Max von Sydow as Sutter Kane. It's amazing. No, it's not Max von Sydow. I'm an idiot. It's the other German guy.
It's Jürgen Prochnow.
Yeah, Jürgen Prochnow.
There you go. Proper way to say it there. I was butchering it.
Yeah, it's Prochnow. That's a real sounds really German. Yeah, yeah, right. It's not Max von Sydow is in The Exorcist. I'm an idiot. Sorry, but yeah, it's that dude, that creepy lady in the hostel.
Oh man, yeah, and she gets creepier as it goes on, like, especially when she's got that fucking a butcher knife in her hand or whatever. Not a butcher knife, what do you call it, a hatchet knife or whatever, and she's
Yeah.
chopping fucking husband up.
Oh man, like when the reveal comes and you see that her lower body is like the one of a serpent. It's so good.
The scene that really got me is the like inverted. What was her name? The character name is Linda Stiles. She's with Sam Neill the whole time, and towards the end or whatever, she I guess she turns and then she goes like completely, inverted or whatever, and her head fucking turns around. She starts crawling after him. Like, oh man, that shit there really gets me.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a great movie, and I have to say, man, Sam Neill, he's my guy, man. He has been to me, like him and Lance Henriksen, they're the top-notch B movie stars when it comes to horror and shit like this. And I have a Sam Neill tattoo of Event Horizon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when he's like all cut up already, like in the end. Yeah, he's excellent. And in this, like the scene where he's in the psych ward with all the crosses. I mean, it's been referenced with The Simpsons and Family Guy. It's such an iconic scene for a movie that not a lot of people actually know about.
Yeah, and it surprises me when when people don't know about this film, because I thought it was bigger than that, especially back in the 90s. I can remember seeing like trailers for it on whatever VHS film at the time I was watching. I'm like, oh shit, I got to see that. But even the trailer itself fucking scared me as a kid. I'm like, god damn,
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like everything is right with this movie. Like you said, like the practical effects, they hold up, man. It's like a lot of practical effects nowadays, they look like shit. But this one is just great.
Yeah, they hold up super well. Like, yeah, I have no negatives to say about this film. Most of these films on this list are all 10 out of 10s for me. I guess, I wanted to pick some of the best of the best of what I figure is occult horror. So, like, this is another 10 out of 10. And it's streaming on Prime Video, but you have to actually rent it. So it's like $2.99 to rent off of there. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Tubi might have it for free on there. You just have to deal with the commercials. But there's some other apps that's floating around on you can watch and stuff like that. So.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, great film.
Yes, absolutely. My number 6, right? We were number 6.
Yeah, you're number 6. Yeah.
Well, I have to include it. I was thinking about, okay, will I be a dick and talk about satanic horror movies and leave it out? Because it's probably the satanic horror movie. But then it's like, okay, I have to include it because I love it. And maybe some people will crucify me because it's not number 1, but The Exorcist from 1973 has to be in here.
Oh, hell yeah.
And there are movies that I like better when it comes to this. And I have a dubious opinion, which we'll all share in a few minutes. And then people will actually crucify me. But yeah, Exorcist 1, is it the satanic horror movie? Yes, absolutely. Is it the best satanic horror movie? Not to me. But is it one of the best and most important horror movies of all times? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like recently when I dated a girl and she wasn't so much into horror, and I said like, yeah, let's watch some classics. And we watched it, and she was like, yeah, I mean, I heard about it, and it's always referred to as being the scariest movie of all times. And she was like, yeah, but it's actually not so scary. And then like half an hour later, she's like, okay, can we stop it now? It's like, yep. like the spider walk thing. I think that got her, and it's just like compared to a lot of satanic horror movies or general occult stuff, you just have to see the time. Same with Rosemary's Baby. It's 68, and Exorcist was 73. That's like, it's a whole different world, like back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it came out on fucking Christmas of all days, on Christmas Day. Imagine, man, you go to the cinema, like you just celebrate Christmas with your family, and then you see this movie for the first time when it just comes out. Yeah, fuck me, Jesus.
It's the ultimate blasphemy. I love it.
Yeah, that's like it's just like the atmosphere, the way it's made, the practical effects, Linda Blair being completely fucked up afterwards, and
Yeah.
like that's a common thing with like kids in horror movies, that they completely get off the rails afterwards, and I can see it with this movie. I can clearly see why. Yeah.
And the makeup effects, even till now, the stuff that Dick Smith did, fucking still so killer. And like, how the fuck did he pull that off? You know, especially for back then, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was gonna make my list, but I switched it out last minute because that's a kind of a no-brainer for me. That's one of my favorite films of all time, is The Exorcist, and it still is. So just for fun, I didn't have that one in here, but I have something, very similar, same franchise, so it'd be on my list a little bit further up.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
all right.
What's your next one?
Okay, my number 5 is a really killer cult classic. Definitely, because he deals with the cult. So, but it's 1995's Lord of Illusions, directed by the great Clive Barker and written by Clive Barker.
Yeah, he's the man. Yeah, that's great. I should have put this on my list. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of the ultimate occult film because it deals with such a brutal fucking cult and fucking, it just feels satanic and shit. It's just so goddamn dark, and dealing with dark magic, literal magic and stuff too. It's just so good. You can't go wrong with it. When I first saw it as a kid, that one also traumatized me, especially the part where, the main bad guy there, the main protagonist is Nyx, and he has that fucking metal thing on his face, to try to like bind him and keep his magic from like, coming back, and him, coming back to life again. That shit was pretty fucked up with the makeup effects on that.
Yeah. So good. Yeah, I mean, Clive Barker, he's the man when it comes to literature like this. I mean, we talked about Hellraiser, and I assume we'll come back to Hellraiser. But Lord of Illusion is just like one of these stories that I don't get why not a lot of people are into this movie and the book behind it.
Yeah, it's the ultimate Clive Barker. He didn't direct many movies, only like a handful at that, and to me, I think this was like, it was pure Clive Barker. Like, this is his vision. This is how it feels when I read his books, this is what it is. And, the casting was great. Scott Bakula as Henry D'Amour is like perfect because, Henry pops up in some other works from Clive Barker. He's actually in The Great and Secret Show, which is one of the books that really got me into Barker and inspired a lot of like riffs and lyrics and all. I did we did an album that was based around The Great and Secret Show, and the album's called Dead Letters. And
okay.
Yeah, I really love Clive Barker. I was like, it's got to be somewhere in my fucking music I make too, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see how influential this can be. I mean, we'll talk about more Barker later, and I think when you compare like books or movies to music, I think Barker is the closest to black metal in the stories that you can get.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, shit. Look at the Cenobites. I mean, that's black metal as fuck.
Yeah. Have you read Abarat?
I love Abarat. Yes, I think there's 3 books in that series, and I've read all of them, and it's like a really super dark, whimsical fucking world is the best way to like describe that.
Yeah, and it's more like a children's book, a really like fucked up and dark children's book. Yeah.
And it has kind of a black metal feel too, because it's been a while since I read these, but the main bad guy in that one or whatever. Well, he is for the first
Yeah.
couple books, and it kind of changes around to his mom or whatever. But the way they describe him is very like black metal-y, like leather and I don't know. There's a definitely a black metal vibe, even though it is geared towards teenagers and kids supposedly. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, but I think like if you're a guy like this, it's probably not as easy to just say like, oh yeah, I'll just write a like a really casual, easy going children's book.
he's brilliant, and I've gotten word because he's doing better now. Clive Barker is. He's already wrote I think 2 or 3 books so far since he's gotten better, and they're working on some movie stuff. I was told by Mick Garris about this, so him and Mick are working on something really badass that he can't really speak upon. But
Okay.
with Mick Garris and Clive Barker combining, it's gonna be fucking awesome. So,
Oh, absolutely, man. That's awesome.
hmm all right, so we're down to number 5 for you.
All right, number 5. When you grew up, did you watch a lot of Simpsons?
Oh yeah, I even love Simpsons now, but hell yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
love
Yeah.
Simpsons.
You know, of course, you know the X-Files episode.
Oh yeah, with Mr. Burns when he gets radioactive.
Yeah, right. It's
Yeah,
like one of
I
it's one
come
of
in
my favorites.
peace.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't bring you love. And there's like the scene where where the townsfolk all have like their torches and there's how do you call tridents.
hmm
And like Willie the housekeeper, he's like in front and it's like, I bring you love. He wants to
Yeah.
bring us love. Kill it. So assume your listeners this will happen now because my number 5, it's The Exorcist 3, because I think Exorcist 3 actually, after I rewatched it this week, I think it's better than the first one. I like it more than the first one.
Shit, I might have to agree with you because that's on my list as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I rewatched it and I like engaged in some conversation with Rennie of Starkweather and some other people. And you're like, man, this is such an underrated gem of a movie. And I'm like, yeah, man, I completely forgot how good this movie is. Because I had my list made up and I'm like, oh yeah, I should maybe revisit it because I remember how much I liked it.
hmm
And then it started out, and at first I was like, oh yeah, right, there's an old man yelling all the time at everybody. And it's just like, yeah, but this is kind of like the dark humor that is very typical for this damn it. Yeah, for what's the name like of the guy that did the movie? I'm
Oh, of Exorcist 3. Yeah, I got a brain fart on that one too.
yeah.
Let me pull that up real quick on my little thing here.
No,
Yeah.
is it no William Peter Blatty, right? That's the he was behind number 1, and I think he's behind number 3 as well.
Yep, you're correct. William Peter Blatty. Yep.
Yeah, it's like this his kind of like including like this weird kind of yeah, kind of almost humoristic thing, but then also like deep religious criticism and theory about this. Um, I really don't like the second one,
No.
except for like the look back into the desert when they find the statue of Pazuzu. But aside from that, the second part does nothing for me.
Nope.
But the third one is I mean, it's 1990, and it's a really 90s kind of horror movie in a way.
hmm
But dude, when it starts picking off, especially after the scene where the nun gets her head chopped off, and this jump scare, this short jump scare where the nun leaves the room and the white costumed person runs after her with that gigantic scissor. And then
Yeah.
it instantaneously, after the shrieking sound, cuts to the statue of Jesus without a head. That's so iconic. And then it goes completely bonkers, and you have like the old woman crawling on the ceiling in the room, and all these tiny things. And as a spoiler, I think that was the influence for one of my movies that is in my top 5. And my top 4 after this, because this is already the top 5. Again, more influential than people might say it is, but I think for nerds that really are into horror, they see the quality of this movie. Yeah, would you agree?
Oh, totally, totally. And like I said, this is further up on my list actually. This help, so
Yeah.
this is up there a little ways. And yeah, I like it almost a little bit more than original Exorcist, just because it's more fucked up, man. It's more crazy. There's so much going on,
Yeah.
It's a hard one. They're not, I think they're tied really. If I was to think about it, like Exorcist and Exorcist 3 are kind of for a tie because I love both of them. Like the
Yeah.
second one, you can just skip that one, like you said. That one is, yeah, it's not really
No.
anything. But yeah, these two here, like, oh man.
It's also like I don't know. I always compare that like these really old horror movies to like the 90s stuff and then the modern stuff. And if you compare it to black metal, it's the same thing. It's like I grew up in the time, like I started listening to black metal in 92, 93 when I was 12 and 13, respectively. And of course, like Mayhem, Emperor, Burzum, Dark Throne, these kind of bands, like the second wave in Norway, that was the stuff that got me. And like in the 90s, that kind of horror got me. That's why like stuff like Warlock still resonates so much with me, or The Exorcist 3, and like another movie that will be on my list in a second. Then I went back, listened to Bathory, Celtic Frost, Hellhammer, all this stuff, and I like it, and I love some of these bands, but I will never love them as much as I like the stuff that I like started listening to in the first place,
Right.
But
It's kind
then,
of like that nostalgia thing.
right.
Yeah.
And but there's always this one band in a genre, like from the originators, that sticks out. And I kind of have the same thing from my list coming up, where it's like one of the old school things is one of the best things. But yeah, I don't get the hatred towards like Exorcist 3 that a lot of people share. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
I think it's getting a newer audience as time goes on. Like there's getting more love, It's a lot more love than I've ever seen that movie get in the past 5 or so years,
Yeah,
So hopefully it continues to grow because it's a great film.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so my number 4 is a really good one. I think it's a really good one, and this one might be this might be a film a lot of people haven't seen. It's still kind of under the radar, but not really. If you want to find it, you can find it pretty easily. I mean, shit, you can probably rent it on Prime. But it's 1987's Angel Heart.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, we're talking about this earlier. This is one of the best portrayals of the devil in film from Robert De Niro. Like those fucking, and it's so subtle too. When he's peeling the egg, and those fingernails and stuff is like it's very subtle, but it's there. Like it's so fucking evil.
Yeah, Lewis Cipher. It doesn't get any better than this with choosing a name. It's like
And
my
it's
name is Cipher, Lewis Cipher.
and it's right there staring you in the fucking face the whole time. Like the clues are right there, Like, but the first go around when you're watching this film, you don't really pick up on that. But like the
No,
second time, it's like, oh shit, I didn't notice that, but it's right there in front of me. Like you
yeah,
knew this was the devil pretty much the first time you met him.
yeah, yeah, unbelievable. Like it's the same thing here. I watched it, I'm like, Lewis Cipher, Watched it a second time, like, oh man, it's so in your face and yet so subtle.
And to me, this is one of Mickey Rourke's like best films. Before he went, and he's still a good actor and stuff, but this one here like really set it off for him. I think he plays
Yeah,
the part so well, like disgruntled fucking like detective and shit, and private investigator guy. Like he
yeah,
just plays it so well, and it's a really dark film, but it's not like thrown at you super fast. Like it's kind of a slow burn, and this builds up gradually. And the atmosphere of it's like, super dark, and that the vibe of like, Satan being a constant in this whole film's there, like the whole time you're watching it. Like it's like he's sitting there, he's watching what's going on, and it's using these people as the characters in this film as like pawns and stuff,
yeah.
So yeah, this is one of the best occult films ever made, and this was another one that we would watch after band practice all the time. I think that was the first time I've watched this film. It's probably in early 2000s after a band practice, and I was
Yeah.
like, holy shit! And on VHS,
Yeah.
we had a VHS version of it, so that's what we watched. So, but,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's how we grew up. Yeah, for all the young listeners out there, for us it was like going to a video store and renting a VHS tape, and we had to rewind it, or we had to pay extra fines.
Yep, I remember those days. Be kind and rewind.
Yeah,
Remember
right.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna
And
pay extra $5.
oh man. And Angel Heart also features one of the most beautiful women of all time, Lisa Bonet.
Oh, hell yeah.
Also great actress, like totally like all people know her from the Cosby Show, but after that she did some great movies and did some great acting. And nowadays she's married to Aquaman.
Yeah, that's true. And it looks like she never ages, so she could be a
No,
vampire. So
yeah, maybe. Which
yeah,
would be cool. That would be a cool reveal in the end.
yeah. Perhaps she sold her soul to Lucis Cypher. You know.
Yeah, would make sense, man.
But yeah, Angel Heart, another 10 out of 10 for me. And that one, you can rent on Amazon Prime and could also be streaming on Tubi because so many
Yeah.
things can stream on that free site Tubi, which is great and I love it and stuff. So you just don't know what's up there at that time. They kind of switched it out pretty fast, but
Yeah.
I know for sure this one's on Prime Video to rent. So I'd highly recommend Angel Heart if nobody's ever seen it. It's really good.
Yeah, I own it as a DVD and Blu-ray because when I go to Tubi, it says this service is not applied to your country.
God damn it. Fuck.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bummer, man. It's a bummer.
Aye.
All right, number 4.
Yep.
Um, a very contemporary movie. A movie I hated when I saw it in the theater. I have no clue why I hated it back then because I went back to seeing it, and the second time I was completely blown away. And that was the one where I said, like, okay, I'm doing satanic horror movies, but I have to include this one. It's Hereditary.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a great film.
It is, I mean, um, the whole story is so creepy and so weird. It's just like like when do you see you rarely see kids injured in movies, not even horror movies. But there's a fucking disabled kid with like I don't know, she has Down syndrome or something, which is already like something that's like, okay, be careful what you do with it, or cancel culture will cancel you.
Right.
But she gets her fucking head ripped off by a pole. Um, and then it's just like this idea of grief and grief giving birth to absolute horror and demons is something I talked about Mike the other day because I read a graphic novel called Survivors Club,
Hmm.
which is kind of weird because it has something to do with video games as well. But in general, it's about a bunch of characters who all have a demon that follows them, kind of like a shadow, and torments them. And it's all based because they've been traumatized. And like the idea of trauma giving birth to inner demons, or like in movies like to actual demons, is something that I'm really into. And I mean, after his sister dies because the brother fucks up when he drives and takes her to a party, the whole family is completely going down the drain. And again, all of a sudden, a cult is involved, demonic possession, King Paimon, which I have tattooed on my leg as well.
Oh, killer.
Yeah. Um, and it grows into some of the darkest, most scary stuff I've seen in a long time. I don't scare easily. I'm as I mentioned, like splatter or something doesn't do like actual horror to me. That's like just watching it and being disgusted. But I want to be scared, and I kind of don't scare easily anymore. But when Toni Collette throws that book into the fire and her husband burns, and like she completely loses it, and then the son finds the corpse and it's dark and she's sitting on the ceiling again, a woman crawling on the ceiling. Maybe that's the thing that traumatized me with The Exorcist 3.
Yeah.
um Dude, I don't know, man. I watched it in the dark here by myself and already almost pissed my pants. And then the whole reveal scene in the end when the soul, like then the headless body levitates into the tree house. Everything is so creepy, and again has these vibes that the Ninth Gate also has, because you find the book parts with King Paimon and the ritual stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Hereditary got a lot of love, and I do so too. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Heredity is a great film, and I remember when it first came out, like it was shocking, especially the decapitation scene. You didn't really see that coming.
No. It's like, it
Fuck.
was really like, wow, okay, so you're doing this in movies now? Okay.
And pretty much after that scene happened, like it was a downhill decline in like fucking terror after that. Like shit gets really fucked after that.
Yeah.
So, all right, so now we're down to my number three. And
Yes.
this was almost a tie for me. Like I didn't know which one to choose really because I like them both about equally. But I finally went with 1987's Hellraiser, directed by again the great Clyde Barker.
Yeah. I
I
can
mean,
see that.
yeah, I mean, it was tied between Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2 because I like them both equally.
Yeah.
Hellraiser 2 has a bit more action, I guess, a bit more going on, but I think Hellraiser itself is, more Clyde Barker's vision.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is what I grew up on. I can remember being as far back as I can remember, I guess maybe like 4 or 5 years old. I can remember pretty much that far back.
Yeah.
Hellraiser was one of the movies that got me into horror. My aunt and my grandma would have me watching this shit when I was a kid, which was cool because I had no rules, like I could watch what I wanted to, but they kind of really got me into horror. And this was one of the films that did it. This and like Phantasm. But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Hellraiser. It's the ultimate occult film in my eyes.
It's black metal made into a movie, or other way around. Maybe that movie is what influenced black metal in a way. I don't know, but just like the whole essence of evil, and the way it looks, the way it, like, the movie almost reeks of like a foul stench in a way. It's an absolute perfect movie.
And again, with the practical effects,
Oh
some of the
man.
best practical effects in any film, and
Yeah.
they still hold up super, super well. Like especially the transformation scene, when Frank's coming back, starting from like a fucking puddle of like shit,
Oh,
pretty much blood and this, visceral. Then that scene where it's like turned into like almost a skeleton like creature thing and turned into a skeleton of a man and on from there, but so fucking good.
yeah, to this day, man, like him sitting there without skin, it's just so uncomfortable to think about this, how this must feel, and this whole idea of embracing pain and like kind of enjoying it. I mean, pretty much, this must be the one movie that every bondage SM person like loves. But yeah, there's so much great stuff. It's so iconic. I mean, the cube itself is already like iconic, and but like the whole, like the Cenobites, how they look, especially Chatterer, he was always my favorite.
Hmm.
Um, Pinhead, what a ultimate fiend, man. He's up there with Freddy and Jason and Michael, and like yeah, there was always these rumors about like these movies where, like the crossover comic books that they had, and then
Yeah.
like Jason versus Freddy happened. That there were talks about, like, I think Freddy versus Pinhead versus Ash
Oh
versus
yeah, I've seen
Jason.
that. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be
stuff.
killer.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think as a comic book this works, but like in real life, I like Freddy versus Jason. I really do.
Me too.
But I was scared, like, if they continue down that path. And also I think, for example, with Michael Myers, this hadn't worked. It's okay because both characters like Freddy and Jason got so goofy in the later like installments. But like Pinhead, I mean, how do you fight Pinhead? Like, you can,
Right.
like, it doesn't happen. So yeah, I mean, they destroyed the franchise from the third one on, and then went completely down the rain from there. But one and two are perfect movies.
Yeah, totally agree. And I actually like some of the sequels. I don't like when they ended up doing the when I stopped enjoying the Hellraiser franchise is when they brought in the CGI pinhead looking guy. I can't remember which one that was. It was way later down the line. I'm like, yeah, I'm good after that. And Doug Bradley is Pinhead. So if you're not using Doug Bradley,
Yeah.
and I know they're doing a remake. I think it's going to be a TV show or a movie. I'm not too sure on that, but the people behind it, I have full faith in. And they're going to change things around a little bit and make it more, and make it closer to the novella that this was based off of and stuff.
Yeah,
So I have faith in that. So hopefully that's going to be good. And I know Clyde Barker has his hands in this project as well, so that's a good sign.
yeah.
So I'm going to hope for the best.
Yeah, it actually seems that the future of horror is in TV shows, and they've gotten so much better over the years. I mean, we both loved Midnight Mass and
Mhm.
Chapel Waits. I really enjoyed Castle Rock, the 2 seasons they did, even though it
Oh
got
yeah.
canceled. I didn't like stuff like Yellow Jackets, but that's like for audience that likes Scream movies, and I don't know, that didn't do it for me. But like since we spoke about it, the 2 seasons of The Exorcist, the show, I
Oh,
thought
it was
they,
great.
yeah, man, they were excellent, and I don't get why they canceled that. But like if they start treating like these old novellas that are like spawn some of the great horror movies, and they make it in a way like Chapelwaite is done, really like classy with good effects and good storytelling. Hellraiser could be a great TV show. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be headed to HBO Max or whatever. So as you
Oh
know,
man,
their TV shows they go all out. Like there's
yes,
hardly any bad HBO Max shows originals. Like they're
yeah.
fucking good. So if they have that back and the money of that back in this project plus the directors and all that, I think is going to do a really good job. I think it's going to be killer. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I hands down that would be excellent, and especially like with HBO behind it, like you said, they put the money where their mouth is, so that could be really good.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so you're number three.
Number three, 2015's The Witch.
Nice. That almost made my list. I love that movie. It almost made my list, but I figure you might have it on there, so that works.
Yeah, it's also something completely different. When it came out in 2015, I saw the name. I thought like, okay, it's spelled with like two V's instead of a W, which is like kind of a cool trait that a lot of these darker hardcore and metal bands use. So I thought like, okay, if they just called it The Witch with a W, it would be easy. But
Hmm.
something, okay, somebody made up his mind here. Um, and well, it has Anya Taylor-Joy as the lead character, and she became famous later on with the Queen's Gambit, which was a great show. Um, the playing is excellent. The setting is brilliant. The whole camera, it's so dark, and the Puritan New England atmosphere, it's hardly ever captured as well in a way as in there. Um, kind of Chapelwaite. Well, Chapelwaite wasn't as dark as this, but it has like the same quality in a way.
Yeah,
Um,
similar feel for sure.
yeah, and that's what got me into like when you suggested Chapelwaite to Mike, and it's like, okay, Chapelwaite, let's see what that is. And I found it online, watched the first 2 episodes, and like, yeah, this looks like an 80s horror thing, but like in a modern quality without stupid CGI effects. And
Hmm.
the Witch had that too. It's slow paced, it's a slow burn, atmospheric. The soundtrack is so insane. I bought it on vinyl and I listened to it once, and it's something I can't listen to because it's so fucking creepy. Um, but everything about this is done well. I have again a Black Phillip tattooed on my belly on the left side, a gigantic Black Phillip.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
yeah, which is dangerous here in Cologne where I live because the regional, like the regional soccer team of Cologne has like a goat as a logo too.
Oh,
So like I got asked like, oh, are you a Cologne fan in football too? I'm like, not really. And this doesn't look like a football mascot, does it? Because it has like these creepy eyes and everything. I was like, oh yeah, you're right.
no.
Um, But yeah, man, it's just like I was hooked from the get-go, but then the scene where Anna Taylor-Joy plays peekaboo with a baby, and then the baby's just gone. I'm like, oh fuck. Yeah, and then especially like the end scene when she goes to the forest and you see the witches dance, and which reminded me of Kill List in a way, with the ending of Kill List. You know, like it's
yeah.
already creepy, and then you have the reveal in the end. Yeah, The Witch is one modern classic that like there's no parallel to that.
I
There's no
agree.
other movie. There's no other movie that is done in the way The Witch was done, and it's cool that it's like this one-off thing. It was successful, but they didn't make sequels or whatnot. It's just this one excellent movie of 110 minutes that everybody should have seen who's into horror.
Yeah, it's the ultimate slow burn, and it has definitely has that black metal feel to it, like
Oh yeah.
throughout the whole damn thing, pretty much.
Do you know the German movie Hagazusa?
Yes, I have never finished that one. I've made about 40 minutes in, and for some reason I had to do something, and I never went back to it. But what I did watch, I liked.
Yeah, it's pretty much like even slower, and it's equally as creepy. It's more psychedelic in a way. I
Mhm.
went to a screening where the guy that the director, he's a young kid. It was his study, like his finale, like his great project to get like his degree in filmmaking. That was his
Oh,
movie.
wow.
And he was there doing a Q&A, and he wore a black metal shirt, no, a Danzig shirt actually. And I'm like,
Nice.
okay, now I know. And we like chatted up afterwards, and he even knew Ultha, and he was like, oh cool. And it's like, yeah, man. Like he said, if you ever want to do a movie again and you need some black metal in there, you can have all our songs. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll be in touch. He's like, oh, hopefully he'll do that. It would be so fucking cool.
That would be
Um,
killer. Yeah.
yeah. So if you guys out there, if you like The Witch, maybe try to track down Hagatsusa. I think it's streaming also in the States, so should be findable.
Yeah, it's on Prime right now, streaming for free. So,
All
well,
right,
if you have
cool.
Prime,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, I can back that. I need to actually finish that one. So that's it. I'm glad you mentioned that. Now it's gonna make me go back and actually finish the damn film because I haven't. I said, oh, I'll finish it. This was like last year or the year before last, but I finally I need to watch the whole damn thing. So.
Yeah. See, the purpose of this podcast is not only to entertain others, but to get us into good shit too.
Yeah, because there's so much good shit out there, like so
Yeah, man.
much.
Absolutely.
All right, so my number two, and this one could be swapped out, like I said before, between the third and the first movie. I just happen to choose the third one because I think it's more interesting when it comes to like the occult stuff. But that's going to be, let's get the year right on this before I make my thing here. But anyways, it's the Exorcist 3, like we talked about
Da-da.
earlier today. So, and that
Yes.
came out in 1990, like, and it's definitely has that dark 90s feel to it. And I just think it's a little bit more exciting than the first Exorcist when it comes to like visual stuff.
Yeah.
Like you got people climbing on ceilings and stuff. Then you have that crazy like I guess you would call it a heaven scene where it has like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar believes in that.
Oh
Like he's
man,
an
yeah.
angel. Like
Yeah.
it's so fucking bizarre. It's such a what we call it, like a fever type dream, man. It's like what the fuck.
Yeah.
And then Brad Dourif, one of his best roles is a Gemini killer. Fucking
Oh man.
amazing.
And you had the return of Father Karras.
Yes.
Like, and that's I mean, in the first Exorcist, like he's the figure that everything revolves about, and it's like in the end, then okay, he dies, and then to bring him back in this way, they brought him back in there, is excellent. And I do you like Killing Joke, the band?
I do like some of their stuff. Yeah, I'm not a giant fan of them because I
Yeah.
don't really listen to them like that, but I do like what I hear. So
Do yourself a favor at later on, like when we're done here, look for Google or do it. You can do it now. Like Jazz Coleman, the singer, yeah,
mhm.
Jazz Coleman, 80s, and look at pictures from the 80s of him when he wears his military overall and shit on stage. He fucking looks like Father Karras.
Oh, crazy. Yeah, I know what he looks like off the top of my head, but I don't know what he looks like back then. So yeah, I definitely have to Google that.
Yeah, and the funny thing is because there's this fantastic documentary about the story of Killing Joke, the Death and Resurrection show, and it's the starting point is actually funny because the guitar player Geordie and Jazz, who was a keyboard player, they met in the UK because Jazz made a how do you call this, like in a newspaper, an ad where you look for some people, and he wanted to start a band, and he said like people into the occult clusters Satanists preferred sought for starting a punk band, and Jordy replied to that. So actually, like, Killing Joke started because he wanted to start a satanic punk band.
That's badass. I like that.
Yeah. So no, back to the topic. Yeah, we talked about it. It's a hell of a movie, and it's fantastic.
And one thing I really love about this is the transition between, the Gemini Killer and Father Christ, when they're like, and it's like instantly fucking the instant transfer, like different faces, like when they're, when he's coming in and out of that, it's like you go to the Gemini Killer and back to him and stuff again, like fucking crazy.
Yeah, so good. Like the monologue in the jail cell. Oh man.
Yeah, I used that for something. I took it. No, I was doing some. I like to do like photo edit kind of weird shit, like manipulate photos and all. And I used lines from them, and I used I did like a photo collage manipulation on one of the scenes out of this one, and I used that line on there. It's fucking evil as hell.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like I said, this I put this in the same category as Exorcist. Like they're both equally awesome to me, but I just happened to choose this one for today's topic. So, but you can watch this free right now on Internet Movie Database TV, which is an app off of Amazon Prime, and it's all free. So let's stream it on there right now.
Yeah, and for the Europeans out there, if there are some of you, Netflix has it. I think it's cut, or I don't know if there's like an uncut version. There's one, like when I rewatched it, there was one scene where the cop like goes to the cell of the Gemini first, and there's a weird cut in there, and I wonder if it's more bloody if it's uncut, but I couldn't track anything down. Like there's no Blu-ray version. There was one, but it's also PG. Like here, the PG rating is 12, 15, and 18. And it has like a PG-15 rating. I'm like, yeah, no, this is definitely not as bloody as I think. Maybe it was never that way, but yeah, if anybody out there knows more about it, or maybe I should like look into it. There's a website on where things have been cut or deleted, so maybe I'll find out there. But still, no matter what, it's on Netflix for free. Go check it out.
Hell yeah! All right, so you're number 2.
Correct. Yeah, it's the thing is, like, when it comes to satanic and occult stuff, the number 1 for me has always been clear, and this one almost is rocking the chair of the first one, but it came down to number 2 is 1987's Prince of Darkness.
Oh, good choice. Yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah. What can you say? My favorite John Carpenter movie. Do I like it more than Halloween? No, I don't know. It's something completely different. I think Halloween is more important, and it's the perfect movie. This is like, I think Halloween is a universe in itself. I kind of like rule it out because it's just above. It's like godlike. But like when it comes to the rest of the canon of Carpenter movies, I love The Thing, but Prince of Darkness I like more. Yeah.
And it has Alice Cooper.
Fuck yeah, man. This is something I always wanted to have, like as a shirt image, like when he's like leaning between the gates. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, Alice Cooper also was in the Freddy Krueger movie. I think the 6th one, but it wasn't as cool there as it was in Prince of Darkness.
Right.
Everything about this is right. The score, just got it on vinyl the other day. By like my best friend gave it to me. I don't remember, was it for Christmas or my birthday? Always wanted to have it. Mondo Vinyl released it. Mondo Vinyl is shit expensive. That's why I didn't buy it myself, but she got it for me. And I mean, Carpenter scores are always great. This is one of the best. The transmission thing from the future, the ball of green slime, the transformation of the one lady, Alice Cooper, the thing with the ants.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is right in this movie. The cast, Donald Pleasance again in it. I can't stress how important this movie is to me and how much I love it. It's one of the best horror movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's great. I love how it looks too. It has that classic Carpenter like look to it, and also has a killer score,
Yeah.
'cause John Carpenter. But yeah, and it's weird because it's not what if you go by the title alone, you're like, oh man, the devil's gonna be in this one and stuff. But he kind of is, but it's totally not what you think. I don't want to give away anything, but it's not what you think.
Yeah, it definitely isn't. And it's also it's somehow unlike the other stuff that Carpenter did. But in the realm of occult horror, this is a definite must-see for everybody.
Oh yeah, 100% on that one, 100%.
All right. Drum roll, number one time, right?
Yes, number one. And this is actually my favorite film out of all horror genres and all that stuff, but it fits very well into the occult horror because, it's pretty much what this is. So here's my number one, released in 2018, the Panos Cosmatos masterpiece, Mandy.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I'm fucking obsessed with this movie. I mention it at least once on every podcast because, it's Mandy. Like when I first saw this movie, it just blew me away like no movie's ever done before. It's just like something about this one that's really, really got to me. And again, it could be like the trippy visuals or the fucking, the killer score to this one and stuff. But it's fucking Mandy. You got fucking Nicolas Cage raging out on a bunch of fucking crazy, real cult, fucking hippie cult. He's out there fucking getting his revenge on the ones who killed his wife and stuff. And it's just, I don't know, it really got me. And it hasn't been beat yet when it comes to favorite movies. Like it kind of made everything else that came out after, nothing adds up. It's not Mandy. So
okay,
Panos needs to make another movie is one thing, and I'm sure he's working on something top secret, but I think Mandy's one of the ultimate occult movies because it's so dark and fucking visceral and this emotional. And it's to me, it's doom metal in a movie. This is like pure doom to me. This is what I would say if I was to put some fucking doom riffs on something made in a movie. This is what this is,
Yeah. The funny thing is, I know that Danny, my best friend, she will be listening to this episode, even though she's not into horror movies. And she will probably laugh right now because she knows what I'm about to say. Dude, when I saw this movie the first time, I hated it. I was furious how much I hated this movie. And I was like so pissed. Like I can't recall why nowadays, but it was just like, I don't get it. What's the fuzz about this? This is boring and it's so fucking bad. And at some point later, I was like, I think I need to rewatch it. A friend of mine got me a box set, which is it looks like a vinyl box set, but it actually is the Blu-ray and the DVD, and it has a 7-inch in it of the song of the cult leader that he sang. A gigantic booklet with liner notes and shit like this. It's an embroidered logo of the Mandy thing. I wanted to love it so bad because Johan Johansson did the soundtrack, and he's my favorite soundtrack person. He's above all else when it comes to soundtracks. And it was one of the last things he did before he passed. And
right.
I'm like, okay, I need to do it again. And then one day I sat here at home and I watched it, and I was like, you're such an asshole, man. Why didn't you get it the first time when it was in cinemas? And ever since then, I watched it maybe 10 times or something, and I can see your obsession with it. It's brilliant. Primarily the how it's filmed, the whole atmosphere. I mean, if you look at footage of Ultha live, we only play like in red light and tons of fog, and Mandy has that too, like the red light. And then the scene where when Nicolas Cage loses his mind and has like in the bathroom.
Right.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's a fucking amazing movie.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Nick Cage. I've been forever. You either love him or hate him, pretty much. But this is like one of his best roles. It's so goddamn fucking brutal with the emotion and stuff. You can just feel it, you know. Like it's like he's not acting, you know. It's just he lets it all out, and that's
Yeah.
natural. That's a natural way of doing it. Just fucking going crazy because that's how it is, you know. When you can't control it any longer, you know.
Yeah. And the cool thing is that he's a black metal guy too. His son is actually like he's producing black metal bands in New York.
Yep.
Yeah, and I remember that Chris of Woe, like one of the coolest black metal bands from New York, good friends of mine, and also Mike. And I remember him posting, how can we try to save the world if we can't even agree on how bad a movie Mandy is? And I remember that I commented like, yeah, man, hell yeah. And then like half a year later, I deleted the comment and I said like, dude, I know this is an old topic, but I changed my mind. It's one of the best things I've seen in recent years. And then he told me the story that like he knows the son of Nicolas Cage and like all these bands like hang out with him in New York, and it's like, and sometimes Nicolas Cage is dropping by when they're in the studio. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. He seems like a likable dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. I would love to talk to him, but trying to get in contact with him ain't easy. So.
Yeah, I guess like he's a busy guy. I mean he has like a second wave right now, right? Like he's been in a lot, but it's like again with his career, it's hit or miss. Like this movie he did where he's like fighting these puppets in this bar.
Yeah, I really like that one. That was Willy's Wonderland. I like that one a lot.
I'm like, oh man, look, I think I need to start doing drugs to get into this movie. But then Pig came out, and Pig was excellent.
Oh, fucking love Pig, yes.
Yeah, and then this what was that movie, which is almost like Big Trouble in Little China, that came out?
Oh, Escape from Ghostland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that one as much. It was all right, but it wasn't what I expected it to be. I guess it was a bit of a letdown, but
yeah, to me too. But for me, hands down, one of my favorites is his performance in 8mm.
Oh yeah, that's a fucking great film. So dark.
Yeah, it's like he only has one facial expression, and when this just like with his rings under his eyes gets darker and darker, is like the perfect for this development of this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, when he's used correctly, like in film and stuff like that, like he's a weapon, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I had a bad day the other day, and like bad days here is order pizza and watch stupid action flicks. And
that's pretty much what I do too. Yeah, I do the same thing.
And I rewatched Con Air, and I still like it, even there.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Con Air is a classic. It's cheesy as fuck, but it's really good. It's like the ultimate 90s. I think it came out in the 90s, I believe, but it's like the ultimate action flick, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's my dream is always like, because my hair's growing longer again and it's going really gray by now. If I ever like look as cool as Sean Connery when he's like released from prison and sits in the office to be interrogated with this long gray hair and this beard, I'm like, oh man, I want to be a silver fox like that too.
Yeah, I'm starting to go gray myself. I've had a gray streak in my hair since I was probably in my early 20s, but now my beard's starting to go gray, which is cool as hell. I'm like, fuck yeah, I like that, man. Like, it's fine.
How old are you?
I'm about to turn 37 in a couple of months.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'm a bit ahead of you.
Yeah, my hair is down past all the way down to my knees almost. I haven't cut my hair in like since I met my wife, so about 10 years.
Oh wow,
yeah.
Wow, okay.
My wife said, "Yeah, don't cut your hair." I'm like, I don't even want to go to a fucking barber shop to do it anyway. So just let it go. I just throw it in a ponytail when I go to work. I'm good to go.
I never want to be like the guy next to you if you're like on a metal show and you're into it and start banging your head in a way like. It's like an eruption wave going through when your hair starts moving, I assume.
Oh man, I used to get my hair caught in my guitar so many times when I'm headbanging on stage. This fucking wrapped up in my BC Rich because they got a lot of different angles on those guitars and stuff. Yeah. Like this should be wrapped up in there. I'm like, God damn it, but it's worth it. So
sounds entertaining, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. Trying to untangle it was real entertaining though. All
All
right.
right, my number one. I actually pulled a Mike Hill here, because I re-listened to your vampire episode,
Hmm.
and that made me change up my list, because I actually have three movies as my number one, because to me they belong together and they should never be spread apart. And they are the sole reason why I am into horror and why I am into black metal. They really, hands down, are the starting point to it all. They're my, like you said about Mandy, they are my absolute, fuck all genres, they are my absolutely favorite horror things of all time. And it's the original Omen trilogy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's classic, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, the first one, I I watched it, I think, when I was 11 or 12, when I was visiting. My parents had like my mom's best friend, and we were like staying the night there because they were living like an hour away. And my sister and their youngest sister, like girl, were the same age, and there was no one in my age. And they had like her like my mom's best friend's parents lived upstairs, and so they were downstairs hanging out with my parents. And they said like, "Hey, you can hang out upstairs and watch videos." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And it's like, "Okay, here are these movies. Just take whatever you want." And I grabbed something, and it was The Omen. And then I sat there like 12 years old or something, and dude, I was so scared. Like the soundtrack to this day is so creepy. Damien is so creepy.
Hmm.
The scene where the nurse like hangs herself, everything for you, Damien. The dog, everything is perfect in this movie. It has Gregory fucking Peck. In the second part, you have Lance Henriksen in the side role. You have the person crashing into the ice and drowning. You've got the Raven picking out the eyes of the reporter. Him accepting his destiny that he's the Antichrist. And then the third part where Sam Neill, again, our man Sam Neill, is Damien, and now he's in the position of power. And the monologue in the end with the gigantic upside down cross in the attic where he's talking about the Nazarene. And dude, like these three movies, you have to watch them back to back, like on 3 days, every night, watch one of these movies.
Hmm.
The score, they're always the same scores, just like with like slight differences, but it feels like Mike talked about Blade. It's just like these three movies belong together. And yeah, man, they are the starting point. They got me into satanic stuff, the occult, the ritualistic aspects. That's when I found out about black metal. I was into death metal already when I was 12. And then black metal happened in Norway in 93 when the church was burned. And dude, it was such a crazy, exciting time back then. Um, yeah, The Omen.
That's
Perfect,
yeah.
perfect horror movies.
I totally agree with that. That's a great number one, and that crossed my path too. Like, should I put that in the list? I'm like, I love those films, but I don't know. But I'm glad you had them as your number one, so it works out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they I guess some people would argue like, no, The Exorcist is better and stuff. It might be, but it's just like this movie was there at the right time and was it was my entrance point to all of this stuff. And man, I'm so grateful to this day. And I'm grateful to like my mom, like that she was cool enough to say, okay, let's do it. You want to watch horror? We'll watch it together and we talk about it. So you can have like, if you're scared, you can say it. And I mean, there's not a whole lot of stuff I would say that my parents did right, but this is one of the things. And it always got me like, it made me into the person I am today, that I can like deal with all this creepy shit and I never had like weird thoughts or stuff like this. It's just like enjoy it. But it also forged my taste for the dark and the macabre, that I don't know if I'd seen, I don't know, like what is the early splatter movie which was out in 80 in 90 91 or
Like
something.
Dead Alive or something.
Yeah, it's like, or the zombie films, like Dawn
Mhm.
of the Dead or stuff. I hadn't seen those. Like I hadn't seen them until way later. Maybe if I'd seen them first, maybe I'd been more into blood and gore movies. Maybe then Brain Dead would have been fun to me, but I always thought Brain Dead sucks. And to me, horror, I don't like horror comedies necessarily. Like I can watch them, but it's like will never be something I'm totally into.
Right.
Because yeah, it's like if there's like goofy slasher horror movies, okay, like they're like kind of funny. I love the Friday the 13th franchise. No. Oh, sorry, stand corrected. I don't hate it, but I don't like Friday. I mean, A Nightmare on Elm Street. I dig all parts of Nightmare on Elm Street besides the seventh one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny and it's like kind of goofy and shit, but not when I want real horror. If I want real horror, it needs to be dark, it needs to be scary, and it needs to be something that creeps you out. So that's why I think like some of the David Lynch stuff was more in the way of horror worked for me than most horror movies were.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, he's got some dark stuff. I mean, Lost Highway is one of my favorite films, and I mean that's about as dark as you can fucking get.
Yeah, and it's especially like this, these creepy characters he has, like Bob as the killer in Twin Peaks, and this mixed like these figures with the score, and the small guy with the camera in Lost Highway.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and like in Mulholland Drive, that scene where the two guys sit in the bar in the restaurant, and one guy says like, "Oh yeah, I had this dream. I went around the house, and there was this demonic creature coming out of the gutter, and then this is actually happening, and it's so slow and creepy." This is something that gets to me. This is really something that like the first Phantasm has stuff like this. Hellraiser has stuff like this. The Dario Argento stuff has stuff like this. Later films like The Babadook or It Follows, like modern stuff. Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. This is all stuff I'm into. Midsommar, not so much. I didn't get the fuzz about Midsommar.
I liked it. It wasn't something I was like raving about, but I liked it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm in the same boat as you are. I like the similar things that you mentioned there. That's what I like. I like serious, dark shit. So.
And I guess that's also why I found my way to Lovecraft later on. I mean, I started reading King pretty early, liked it. It was always something I was really into. And then I found my way to like Edgar Allan Poe, and I still love Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, I've got his portrait tattooed on my right arm, and on the back of the arm is Lovecraft, because I think eventually all ways like of a horror movie fan, when you're into this really dark and creepy shit, you will find your way to Lovecraft, and then to movies like In the Mouth of Madness or now The Color Out of Space, and it's good stuff. And I'm happy I'm here because this is one of the things I enjoy most in my life is like this dark, creepy horror stuff.
Yeah, it's my number one thing. That and music, but horror and music go together very well. So
yeah, and having a cat and
oh hell yeah, gotta have our cats. I got both of mine sleeping right now, so luckily they're not here fucking with me. But I keep the door shut because I'm in my amp room. I have all my amps and cables and shit in here, so no cats allowed in here because they would tear shit up.
Yeah, my cat is already like staring at me because it's already dark, and she just ate, so she's expecting me to sit down and start a movie soon so she can snuggle up on my legs. But dude, like before we like end this, I guess I have to ask you one question.
Yeah.
Would you consider Possession being an occult horror movie?
I think so. I mean, it still deals with the devil and stuff, so I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I was like I just like looked at my DVD and Blu-ray stack here in my collection, and I was like, this is one of the movies that I love most, and not enough people know. And I remember you and I we were texted about this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like it's also like really creepy and dark, but it's not really, because you don't really know what happens. It's just like this weird creature. And then the girl like starts losing her shit again. Sam Neill, best man on the take.
Yeah, he's a king of horror, and he can do it all. I mean, he was in Jurassic Park. He can play it all. But when he does horror, he does it I think that's his best thing when he's doing horror stuff. So
You know what? We want to know what, like on the German DVD, because they had like we have got Bildstörung, which is like a company. It's translated to picture interruption. So
hmm
what you call like when your TV or your DVD breaks or something, and they just released like really obscure movies that no one knows about and that have been lost, and they released a beautiful DVD of Possession, and the tagline is this movie is about a woman fucking an octopus. And I'm like, what? It's like such a weird choice because it's, I mean, yeah, in a way, but no. But it's
That's
just
a
like,
crazy tagline. What the fuck?
yeah, it's just like how fucked up do you have to be to like this as a tagline? But it
Yeah.
got me intrigued, and that's when I got it, and I'm like, oh man, and I know that you loved it because that's why I had to ask about it.
Yeah, most definitely. I would consider that a cult. So.
Yeah, man, this has been fun.
Oh yeah, this was great, man. This is probably the longest podcast I've done yet, so this is really cool and it was fun as hell. You know, I love talking horror, especially like I like doing the top 10 lists. They're really fun because you get to
Yeah,
hear about so many different cool horror movies and some you haven't heard of before. So
yeah, we have to find another topic and do this again.
I'm totally down with that. So we definitely do this again.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Hell yeah, Ralph, and you have a good night and go check out some horror with your cat. That's what I'm gonna be doing tonight myself. So
All right.
all right, take it easy.